Welcome to Anxiety Land. Today we're going to be talking about Ikigai. Ikigai is a philosophy that puts you in touch with who you actually are as a person to where you can get to the center of your purpose. Now, this is really, really good if you have a hard time focusing and you have career anxiety, like, I don't know what I should be doing. What do you love? I love blank. What does the world need? AKA, how are you going to serve the world? What can you be paid for? What are you actually good at? You know, exercise self-awareness here. Then you go back, get it a little more niche. What's your passion? What do you feel your mission is? What's your profession? Vocation. So once you answer those questions, you get to the center, and that's your Ikigai. Sometimes whenever I think of all the things that I want to accomplish in the world, I get very much like that person that has 75 slashes in their business card. I do one thing, I'm a comedian. But sometimes you're like, I'm a comedian, I'm a dirt sweeper, I also sell sunglasses to the Sunglasses Hut, I am a director, I'm a writer, I'm an actor, and then it's like, what is it that you actually do? It's like this very crazy thing to where you want to be all things to all people. So Ikigai is a Japanese philosophy for life. It's not a monster from medieval folklore.
Like, if you go over and cross the bridge during the winter solstice, the Ikigai will pop up from it, and it will eat you and your unborn child. Ikigai.
A couple of years ago, I was in the back of a comedy club and I was reading Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, Napoleon Hill talks about finding your purpose. At the time, I remember Jim Carrey was also giving speeches about how he was looking for his purpose before he actually became the Jim Carrey that we all know and love. And I was sitting in the back of this comedy club and then I wrote down on a piece of paper, I still remember it like it was yesterday, my purpose is to put people in touch with who they really are. And over the years, I felt like there had been a gigantic chasm between my stand-up comedy and between my purpose. Because let's be honest, when you think of inspirational comedy, it makes you think of a really shitty after-school special. Like, we're gonna go over to Miss Johnson's house because she just fell over, and then we're gonna help her churn butter. And it's like, ugh, is that where Ikigai is gonna lead me? Is to be this cheesy after-school special comedian? Because a lot of times when you think of a comedian and he comes up to you and he's like, I'm a comedian, and I also put people in touch with who they really are. It's like, ugh, this guy has to suck. And then it finally dawned on me that this is possible because this is what every movie that I loved in the 90s and early to mid 2000s did. You look at the movie Liar Liar. Jim Carrey is a jerk. He's a lawyer and he can't stop lying to his family. It costs him his relationship and his son wishes that he could not lie just for one day. And so now Jim Carrey goes through this transformation and he's like, oh, it's actually bad to lie. This movie's hilarious, but you leave the theater being like, I think I need to be a better person and not such a shithead. And then you look at the movie Click. Adam Sandler gets a magical remote controller. It's funny, but then all of a sudden now he starts missing these moments from his life because he's fast forwarding them. And this remote controller, like an AI thing, just starts to self-program and fast forwards his life automatically. So the whole moral of the movie is value what you have. That puts people in touch with who they are. And then I'm like, oh, I know how to do that in movies now, which is ultimately where I want to go. But how do I do that in my stand-up comedy? Because I'd go on stage and I'm like making drunk people laugh and it's like a high. Like it's like getting just a little bit of a buzz. You're like, you feel really, really good. But after a while, it feels like you're freebasing off of other people, like an energy vampire. You're like, I need that validation hit. And you're taking from the audience. You're not actually giving to them. And I was like, how do I stop using my audience like hookers? And then I wrote a one-man show.
Awesome, awesome. I'm really thankful that you guys came out because you did come out in the apocalypse, you know? I don't know if you guys have realized that the world is actually ending. You know, I realized the world was ending as soon as Denny's shut down in 2020. That's like when I knew shit was like serious. I was like, that's a wrap. Jesus is coming back.
The one-man show is called Harvey in the Magic Box. And I open the show by doing pure stand-up comedy. It's just me talking to the audience about being a weird guy.
You want to be famous? Yeah. Yeah, I actually do want to be famous because I think I could do a lot of good And I could even like teach people things, you know, I could be an influence, and yeah.
And then the show forms into a play, and I pray to God and I wish I could be someone else. An angel appears to me, and for every situation that I have a hard time in my life, that angel allows me to become a totally different person. At the end of my life, I realize all these people are just a shell of an idea. And then the angel is like, okay, well, if you really want to be who you are, you're gonna have to do away with all these borders that you've put. And it's called Harvey and the Magic Box. All these characters come out of the box. And Harvey, the angel, basically says, you have to do away with the box. And at the very end of the play, he opens the door, and all that's in there is just a pure being of light. And then he realizes this is what he's supposed to be to the world, is a light. So the show starts out funny, then boom, the message gets in there, and then people feel good. So this is where the Ikigai thing comes together for me, for stand-up comedy and for movies. Make people laugh, but then I carry a deeper message and people leave better than before. I'm not just talking about whatever weird things that comics talk about, like, yeah, you know, whenever I was 12, my dad had a relationship with a golden retriever. Now, I still do stand-up comedy, obviously, to develop the material, but the end goal was to go into the theater. And when you go into the theater, what's happening? Am I aligned with my purpose? Am I putting people in touch with who they are by doing this one-man show? I am. Am I doing my vocation, which I believe is to teach people? Yeah, I am teaching. Am I doing my occupation, which is a comedian? Yeah, I am doing this. Am I able to be paid for this? Is this serving the world? Yes. Am I fulfilled? Yes, because I'm contributing. And this is my way of volunteering, and how I serve people is through doing this thing. So my Ikigai was finding how to combine all these things into one thing. And as I said before, when you have anxiety, you want to do too much. Not to mention, the guy who actually posted this Ikigai thing, he is in jail now, which is crazy. He drove his Ford Bronco through his ex-wife Deborah's house because she would not sign the divorce papers. Ikigai, it literally solved the problem that I had all these years. I wanted to be a comedian, and I wanted to put people in touch with who they really are, and I didn't know how to marry those two things without being a really bad sock puppet comedian. What do I love? Comedy. What can I be paid for? Doing comedy. What am I good at? I'm good at comedy. What does the world need? They need to laugh, and they need to be inspired. Now we get a little bit more niche. What's my passion? To give people joy. What's my mission? To put people in touch with who they really are. What's my vocation? To teach people. Teacher. What's my profession? I'm a comedian. And then the center, Ikigai. How can I do that all at once? One-man show. That's the format that I do. And I'm in alignment with my purpose, with what I believe God called me to do. And I'm doing it my own way. I'm not doing it the way everybody else wants me to do. So you may have to think about this for a year. And I guarantee you, you'll be a lot more fulfilled than just being like, well, you know, my dad said that I need to be a doctor, so I need to go be a doctor. And then you're making all this money and you're addicted to fentanyl. So that's how it usually works. No, all right, guys, this has been Anxiety Land. Make sure that you sign up for Vesby. Vesby's a super app. We've got that going on. You can connect with me there. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we're going to be doing on the Vesby app. So, guys, we will see you next week. God bless you. Ikigai.